As a PFF subscriber, ooh, big spender. I get the PFF draft guide, and I flipped it open today, Wednesday, to see a quarterback listed first, because it's alphabetical, that I think the 49ers are going to consider drafting late, or if he's not drafted, signing. I don't think he's going to go undrafted. Max Duggan went drafted. This guy, I think, is getting drafted. His name is Max Brosmer, quarterback I'm very familiar with because I covered several of his games, called several of his games last year at Minnesota. Some really good games, including the home win against USC, which was a big win, and a last-second come-from-behind victory against UCLA. I thought one thing that jumped out was their player comp for him is C.J. Beathard. I talked to a coach who's very familiar with Max Brosmer and is very familiar with the NFL, and his comp for Max Brosmer will also be attractive to the 49ers. His comp is Nick Mullins, former 49er, now Kevin O'Connell. So there's just a lot of similarities. Whether you like the Beathard, whether you like the Mullins, Shanahan likes both. And so I think there's a lot of connections there. So there's a few things that really stand out about Brosmer. Number one, Minnesota ran a very interesting, like really entertaining, diverse offense. Their coaching staff and Brosmer, who sat in on the coaches' meetings, so this is something that's going to make him a valuable asset to Brock Purdy as a backup, is that he is very involved in prep and study. This is not just a show up and play guy. And part of it is he's not elite from a trade standpoint. So he's got to win in part with his mind. But they ran a lot. If you watch Minnesota at all, a ton of what you saw was a lot of 49ers, a lot of Vikings, a lot of Rams, a lot of Dolphins. The Shanahan tree offense is prevalent. Like if you watch Minnesota, you would see the same plays in their game Saturday that you see McVay and Shanahan and KOC and Mike McDaniel running on Sunday. So he's very familiar with NFL, NFL offense, NFL mechanics, that sort of thing. Now, one thing with him, he's not the athlete that Brock Purdy is. But what we're looking for is a third quarterback who maybe could spot start for you in the future, could develop, and is an asset, fits your culture, and fits your system. And a few things stand out when you look at Max Brosmer through some of this PFF stuff. Fourth in the nation in turnover-worthy play percentage, 1.7%. Now, he was 20th out of 22 qualifying quarterbacks in big-time throw percentage, 3.1%. Okay. If you're drafting a quarterback in the top 10, you don't want that. If you're drafting a backup quarterback who might have to win you a game and not make mistakes, again, you always want big-time throw percentage, but what you really want with your depth at quarterback is reliability. His average time to throw, 2.75. College football average, 2.73. He's 8th in average time to throw. What did they do a ton of? And you see it in some of these metrics. 5th in intermediate passing, 5th in the nation, PFF in intermediate passing. He got rid of the ball really quickly. One thing they did really well and a lot was throw to the running back. Did not have great receivers in terms of separation. He did have talented receivers, but they weren't big separation guys. And so what they did was they made the most of their running back, who was a really good pass catcher, who was a high school receiver. And Brosmer was prolific at finding ways to get him the ball. PFF lists his strength as crisp footwork and dropbacks. Shanahan, check. Fluid, high-paced movements let him react quickly to pressure. Great. He's tough. Yep. Displays decent zip on short and intermediate throws. Shanahan, that's enough. Generally makes smart decisions. Weaknesses, smaller than ideal frame. Doesn't bother Kyle. Struggles with consistency under pressure. Yeah, I mean, to me, that's what your third string drafted quarterback is going to like. I say this all the time. There's like 15 guys that can consistently perform under, you're talking about this is pressure, like blitz pressure. And then there's 15 guys that start and don't. And then there's career backups. Arm strength below average by NFL standards. Lack of height impacts ability to throw over the offensive line. Okay, 6'2", 225. So, to me, these are not deal breaker negatives when we're talking about a kind of back end of the draft, developmental quarterback. And I think when you add to it, this is a like intellectually forward guy. He plays chess and is very well. It translated to football and was a major film study guy in terms of preparing. Took a lot of ownership of the offense. And part of that, he's an older player. So he wasn't an undergraduate going to a bunch of class. Now, I know some of you are going to say, but Guy, what about Tanner Mordecai? Don't you love Tanner Mordecai? I mean, he's an undrafted player. Maybe he'll be on the 49ers team again this year from practice squad. Maybe he'll be on practice squad. And he does have some things to like. But you keep adding quarterbacks. This is what you do. You keep cycling quarterbacks. You make the third guy on the roster prove that he belongs on the roster, which, by the way, the Niners did once upon a time with Brock Purdy. And what did he do? He proved it. So you use a pick at the end of the draft. You use your undrafted free agency spots. You sign a guy, you push guys, and you let them battle it out.